For the last half-century, an elite organization called the Bilderberg Group has met annually all around the world in total secrecy, behind closed doors and with no official press coverage. It started in 1954 when the world's most powerful people joined forces in the Netherlands at Hotel Bilderberg, where Prince Bernhard, a former Nazi party member, was integral in its formation. Last year it was in Zurich, Switzerland. It was believed that the group discussed how to handle the Arab Spring at that conference. And this year they're meeting in the wealthy city of Chantilly, Virginia, right next to Washington, D.C. The group is comprised of 130 or so of the world's top elites in politics, banking, food, oil, media, and national defense. Some of the most notable attendees have been Ben Bernanke, Bill Clinton, Timothy Geithner, Bill Gates, Tony Blair, and Colin Powell. Others include Queen Beatrix of the Netherlands, Prince Charles, George Soros, and Alan Greenspan. Henry Kissinger and David Rockefeller are integrally involved as members of the Bilderberg Steering Committee, which is responsible for carefully crafting who will be attending the meetings every year. Some have called the Bilderberg Group a harmless think tank or just a discussion group, but people who have been following it for years say there's something much more sinister at the root. They claim that the group gets together to plan world policy for a new world order of global domination at the subjugation of the rest of humanity. Unfortunately, you won't hear much of a peep about the group's deep.
Here's to a third subject before I let my freedom fighters go. A meeting that Freedom Watch has its eye on this weekend is the Bilderberg Conference in Switzerland. Their powerful political and economic elites gather to shape world policy, and on this show we're wondering, if the ideas shared there are so legitimate and so important, then why does this meeting happen behind closed doors and surrounded by snipers, Ellis Hennigan? Wouldn't you, the investigative journalist that you are, like to get on the other side of those snipers?
Of course. I mean, listen, that's why we need good business reporting like occurs on this network. Great reporters have to go and pull the rug out from under the Builder windbags.
Oh, but the Builder windbags won't let any reporters in there, and they are the most important movers and shakers outside of the government. Many of the government people there are ex-government people in the world. Who are they and what are they doing?
Who knows? I don't know.
Everybody has always believed in this thing called the deep state, the shadow government, the ruling class, the top of the pyramid, the new world order, the Illuminati, whatever you want to do it. Well, if you want the first starting point, look at Bilderberg. And let me finish with this. What you and I are doing right now, I want you to call up all of your friends in the mainstream media, because you've got a bunch, and ask them, hey, how many of you mentioned Bilderberg? They'll say, what are you talking about? This is never spoken of. The word that is never, you never mentioned this. There on CNN?
No,
are you kidding me?
Secretive and powerful organizations you've probably never heard of. The Bilderberg Group is hosting some of the world's top business and political leaders in Dresden. But how influential is it? And what does it say about the relationship between big business and politicians? This is Inside Story. People attending. 2 prime ministers will be there, Mark Rutte from the Netherlands and Belgium's Charles Michel. And as we mentioned earlier, Christine Lagarde is attending. She's the head of the International Monetary Fund. 2 former intelligence chiefs, John Sowers of MI6 and David Petraeus, who used to lead the CIA, will also be there. And the rest of the list is littered with influential businessmen and bankers, including the heads of Shell, HSBC, and Alphabet Inc., which is the holding company for Google. There are also around 10 journalists from major media organizations attending the meeting, but they can't report on it.
In the spring of 1954, Joseph Redinger, a Polish political advisor and founder of the European movement that would lead to the founding of the European Union, started the Bilderberg Group, an informal and off-the-record conference for political and business elites from European and Western nations. With the help of Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands, along with other powerful politicians and businessmen, they organized the first annual Bilderberg meeting at the Hotel de Bilderberg in Oosterbeek, Netherlands. The Prince, a former executive for IG Farben and a former Nazi SS party member before the war, was also an influential executive in the oil industry, working for Royal Dutch Petroleum. As a member of the Dutch royal family and the father of the current matriarch and fellow Bilderberger Queen Beatrix, Bernhard was a very powerful and influential member of the European community.
Thank you. The next meeting of the Bilderberg Group is to be held in England. The location is thought to be the Grove Hotel, Watford, from the 6th to the 9th of June. These annual meetings are summits of the most wealthy, powerful and influential people in the worlds of politics, finance and business. The biggest mystery surrounding them is why the mainstream newspapers and broadcasters have chosen not to report on them since 1954. However, in the internet age, their existence can no longer be kept secret. I've written to all the mainstream press and TV in the UK, asking them if they intend to report on this meeting, and if not, why not. I've also submitted a Freedom of Information request to the Hertfordshire Police Commissioner, asking on what basis the policing is being provided and who is paying the bill. I'm very much looking forward to the responses.
Thus, the meetings are held in secret and are by invitation only. For almost 60 years, the Bilderberg Group has been meeting behind closed doors in luxury hotels around the world to discuss in secret their plan for global control of world events and markets. Over the years, their members have included heads of state, politicians, business executives, media moguls, global financiers, military leaders, intelligence agencies, and many other powerful organizations and individuals whose reach extends to every corner of the world.
It seems you either hate it or you've never heard of it. One of the world's most secretive meetings is taking place in Spain this year, and the heat hasn't dissuaded the protesters from turning out. They rallied under banners reading "Enough Slavery" and Bilderberg Group, secret rulers of the world.
This year's Bilderberg meeting has drawn protesters not just from Spain but from all over Europe and the world.
And deliberately break the Logan Act, so I strongly suspect that other national governments have similar laws that their Bilderberg attendees break by being here.
Despite that, US Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner has attended the Bilderberg and is rumoured to be this year's too. It's been particularly difficult to get a list of attendees this year, with even that shrouded in secrecy. But veteran Bilderbergers include David Rockefeller and Henry Kissinger, and Ben Bernanke and World Bank head Robert Zoellick are also regulars. Outside the disproportionately heavy cordon, where police all but outnumbered demonstrators at times.
Society of elite power brokers that pulls the strings and calls the shots.
Talking about the control of absolutely everything on the planet.
It's not a fantasy. They meet in plain sight.
This is the fear of the crowd.
Only no one knows what goes on behind closed doors.
They say we're not secret, we're private.
Need you to move off the property.
We're being kept well back from the building.
Until now. They control the money.
When you control purse strings, you control the world.
They control the food.
They're poisoning other people.
They even decide who will live and who will die.
They want you dead, Governor.
Why? And their most lethal plot may be underway right now.
The idea is to target you in a new system.
They're out to kill me.
Apparently, it's the elite of our society, the power brokers, whatever you want to call them, presidents, corporate heads, whatever they may be. They get together once a year at a hotel and supposedly figure out what's going to happen in the world. And they have, I guess, enough power to be able to do that. Our presidents get invited there. When our president goes there, he has to sign an agreement that he won't talk about anything. And what I'd like to know is who has the power to tell the President of the United States that he can't talk about something.
Yeah.
So that leads me to believe that there are people beyond the President that make calls on some of this stuff. And that the President really may be just a figurehead when you get down to it.